Alright, it is about 5 o'clock, so I am 17 hours into fasting on this 42nd birthday of Ewelina Flinta, the second place runner-up of Polish Idol Season 1. And I feel so good. My goal, by the beginning of 2022, my goal is to eat 3 times a week. And the reason for that is a few. Spiritual. Right, I feel this lightweight, happy-go-lucky feeling, not bogged down feeling every time I go on a 24-plus hour fast. Right, it's like a big weight has been lifted off of my shoulder. I feel very lighthearted about everything. Right, something doesn't go right at work. Something doesn't go right in my life, relationship, drama. I can swallow that a lot better when I'm in a fasted state. When things like that happen after I eat, I get very heavy-hearted, angry, defensive, and arguing with people. And I don't know if it's a function of what I ate that caused that, but you know what? I've done a little bit of experimentation, and whatever I eat, it's never as good as fasting. I mean, I can adjust it a little bit, but it's never as good as in a fasted state, right? 16 hours after fasting, this is the kind of time when I would love to answer the phone and hear that I've been fired from my job or that my girlfriend breaks up with me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't like that, but I would much prefer to hear it now than to hear it after I break the fast tomorrow. That's the point I wanted to make. I feel very spiritually lightweight. The other reason is the convenience of it all, right? So right now you guys have seen me program on my computer various computer games. I'm using a Lenovo ThinkPad, but the computer is almost 2 years old and the battery can barely hold a charge, right? 20-30 minutes. And to have to eat 3 times a day or even once a day just kind of feels like I can't hold a charge, right? I got to go to the kitchen, to a restaurant, and it makes a lot of other things difficult to do, right? Because I have dietary restrictions, right? By eating once a day, a lot of things have opened up, right? I can go to a theme park and not have to sneak food in there or have to explain to people why I bring food in there. I just go, right? I can go see a movie, and not have to deal with the dramas of having to argue with people about why I have to bring my own food in there. Not to mention, this past year, you don't want to be putting your hands in your mouth all the time, right? And I don't have to do that anymore ever since I started eating once a day. But I hope to cut that back even more because of all the other benefits that I mentioned. The other thing that I like about these very long fasts is that they force me to fill the gap, right? So too often we eat out of convenience, out of habit, and in order to not do that, I have to find some other hobby to indulge in or network with some other people. And they force me to fill in the gap, right? So for example, right now, I'm kind of angry about how a lot of people don't accept me for the way I eat. Not only for the fasting, but for dietary restrictions. And I did a lot of brainstorming about how to bring this into focus, right? One thing I noticed is that nobody will ever question you about fasting. Hey, want to try some of this? I'm sorry, I'm fasting. And nobody will ever question what reason, why, how long. They just kind of accept that for an answer, right? But when you have an unknown food, you don't know the ingredients. A lot of people take for granted they could see food and just put it into their mouths. Let me break the news for you. There are some people who can't safely put food into their mouth without knowing exactly what's in it, period. Okay, I've broken the news now. But a lot of people can't seem to accept that. It's a lot easier to tell people I'm fasting. And I was thinking about why. And it dawned on me that fasting kind of implies that at some other time I could try it, right? Whereas a food restriction that might be more or less permanent, right? It might be difficult for people to swallow. And I was thinking about this, right? It really depends on the circumstance, right? If it's somebody that you have to have a long-term committed relationship with, or that you have a long-term business relationship with, like a colleague, you might want to break it out. But at the same time, I really despise the way that it has to come out, right? People are offering you food at a job interview, at a holiday party, where it's not exactly the best environment, especially in a large crowd, right? And anyways, what I'm trying to say is that it forced me to brainstorm, because earlier today I couldn't eat something, and so I decided to do some other things in my life that I needed to, that were long overdue, right? Like networking with people, well, making some YouTube videos, you get the idea, learning a few new games, or board games that I'm programming. And anyway, so we got a couple more months until the new year. My dream is to eventually stop eating altogether. I don't know how it plays out, but it's a dream. It's a utopia world that I want to live in. But I can see myself eating 3 times a week by the beginning of 2022.